Welcome to Citizen Scoop, where the truth is not sugar-coated, it's served raw. I am Robin Molefe, and tonight we're exposing what could be the biggest political betrayal happening right under our noses. Afriforum, the so-called civil rights group, along with Solidarity, have flown across the Atlantic, straight into the hands of America's political elite, begging for protection against South Africa's land expropriation policies. They say they are defending democracy, but let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is really. White privilege lobbying in HD, yes, high definition. And standing right behind them, the Freedom Front Plus. Oh yes, you heard that right. The political mouthpiece for Afrikaner minority interests. Their leader, Corne Mulder, says this is about protecting South Africans. But let's break that down. Which South Africans exactly? The poor or the rich? White or black? Because there's racial tension in Hartbeespoort as we speak. Whites are constantly fighting blacks, forcing them to leave. What is Afriforum doing about this?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the Harties Community Developments NPO and some of the challenges that's had. But let me bring in Hartley Nwatu, who is of course a businessman in the area. Hartley, a good evening to you as well. Talk to me about the difficulties that are being faced by black businesses in Hartbees, what they look like, right? So perhaps talk to me about your own business and challenges that you have, blockages that you feel are making it difficult for you to operate in the area.
Okay, thank you and good evening. Look, the challenges are quite very specific, right? As a black business, you are denied the right to participate or to even operate. They subject you to horrendous regulations that they themselves as white do not comply with. I'll give a typical example. Now, when you are operating on a government land as a tenant, you're not allowed to build permanent structures. They have built permanent structures on the government land, which they're not supposed to do so. They have built harbors on the shoreline of the dam, which they're not supposed to do so. They have to apply for permission to be able to do that. They have built golf courses, and when you come as an unsuspecting client to buy a house in Hartbees, you get told you are buying in a golf estate and automatically doubles the value of your house. But they don't tell you that the land where they build a golf course is stolen land. They've illegally occupied that land. They've not paid 1 cent for it. But when black business comes in, following due process, that we have to follow due process and comply with all those things, we are subjected to most rigorous regulation that they have themselves have not complied with.
Which golf course are we talking about?
Caribbean Beach, for an example. Caribbean Beach Golf Estate has built a 9-hole golf course on a government land, and they've done so for the last 45 years, and they've not paid 1 cent.
And who does that land? Not a lie. Let's talk about where in government that land belongs to. Who does the land in and of itself belong to?
Yeah, well, what happens in terms of our constitution, any land that is surrounding the dam, there's plus 300 dams across the country. Now, that land belongs to the government. And the custodian of that land is the Minister of Water and Sanitation. So, because as you know, water is a basic human right. So the reason really is more about ensuring that everybody has access to water. So the Department of Water and Sanitation becomes the ideal place where this must be located. So, but the main challenge here, I think, where we must go is to point out, because the moment you talk anti-racism, it appears as if you are racist yourself, you know. But the reality of it is that we need to face this thing.
Where's the proof that, and perhaps this is a question I can give to you, where's the proof that this is about race, right? And this isn't just about leases and contracts. Where's the proof that this is particularly black businesses, black individuals, black institutions that are being targeted where we've seen, for instance, a Matibedi whose business, I believe, was went up in flames in Hartbeespoort. Where's the proof that this is about race?
It is, and I'll give you the proof. There is an article that was written by Jack Seal in 2009 when the government introduced the project called Metsi Army. He went on an Afrikaner newspaper to say this Metsi Army program is a black land grab against the Boere land in Hartbeespoort. One. Number two, they have formed themselves into WhatsApp groups where they discuss how to oppose black land occupation, and it is in writing.
And then I believe that there also is, and you've talked about leases that have lapsed, and you've said essentially what you're seeing is people, businesses, institutions, homes, and owners in the area, or lessees rather, that you say are illegal occupants.
Yes, indeed. In fact, those who have leases will be counted as less than 5. But the rest of them, more than 50 of occupants around the dam don't have leases. And I can mention the names. All of them, they don't have any leases.
Let's hear the names.
Okay, let's start, for instance, in Caribbean Beach with a golf course. They don't have any lease. Let's go to Ifafi Aquatic, where they have built houses. They don't have lease. Let's go to Hartbeespoort HBK. They don't have lease. Let's go to all other people around the dam. I can go in terms of the names. They don't have any leases. Government recently issued us permission to occupy, right? And they issued permission to occupy to about black occupants. Only 3 of those managed to occupy, because in most of those lands that government issued permission to occupy, white people are still occupying in there, and black people therefore could not be able to move. And when we start challenging this, the Department of Water and Sanitation has since withdrawn the permission to occupy. But the white people that have been occupying that land for decades and decades without paying any cent, they have not been evicted. There's no any withdrawal of anything.
You've never heard them saying anything about it. They've gone quiet. Absolute silence. When poor communities are still waiting for land reform today, Afriforum is silent. But now that the same land might shift out of white hands, suddenly they are freedom fighters. All of a sudden, they are now freedom fighters. What do you call that? Let's not play games. This is not about democracy. It's about protecting generational wealth built during apartheid and using American power to keep it locked away. Yes, they want to keep it away from blacks, from black people. Imagine that, yeah? And who are they meeting in Washington? Officials linked to the Trump administration. Yes. The same administration that stood hand in hand with white nationalist groups. How interesting. You ask, is this about saving South Africa? Or turning South Africa into a playground for white fear propaganda? President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africa's problems must be solved at home. But Afriforum wants to drag our struggles to the same powers that built apartheid. And here's the biggest question. Why is Freedom Front Plus supporting a group that's running to America's doorstep? Instead of sitting at the table with South Africans? Because these are South African problems. Because this is not about blacks versus whites. This is the rich versus the poor. And the Freedom Front Plus knows exactly which side they are on. The land issue is not a race war. It's a justice war. It's about breaking the chains of a system that stole from the majority to benefit a small, privileged few. If Afriforum really cared about democracy, they would be fighting alongside the poor, not begging their former colonial masters to protect their privilege. So I ask you, citizen scoopers, is Afriforum defending human rights? Or are they just modern-day lobbyists? Are they just modern-day lobbyists of apartheid? Wrapped in a suit, if you think about it. Drop your comments below. Let's have this conversation, because the war for South Africa's future is not happening in Parliament. It's happening right here.